Before beginning installation of the swinging or pivot shower door, be sure to read the installation guide thoroughly, gather the required tools and materials, and identify all the parts. Proper fit and function of pivot doors depends on accurate measurement of the header and bottom track, so pay special attention to carefully measuring before cutting. Begin by determining which side of the door will open. The handle goes on the side of the door that opens, and the pivot is on the side of the shower that is opposite the shower head. For our demonstration, we'll be installing a right side pivot. Next, identify the pivot side wall jamb. It's the one that is L-shaped. Hold it in place to see whether the bottom of the jamb needs to be curved to fit snugly to the corner of the wall and receptor. If necessary, shape it using a hacksaw or tin snips. Use a file to remove burrs or rough spots. Do the same with the strike wall jamb. It's the one that's U-shaped. Next, position the pivot jamb against the wall in the center of the shower's ledge. Check to ensure that it's plumb using your level. Then tape it into place using masking tape. Measure the distance from the edge of the shower ledge to the pivot wall jamb and position the strike side wall jamb to match this distance. Again, check for plumb and tape it into place. Now, using the pre-drilled holes in the wall jambs, mark the locations of the holes on the walls. Remove the tape and the wall jambs and drill 5/16" holes at each mark. Install a wall anchor into each hole. After drilling, clean up any debris before continuing. Realign the jambs and secure them using the screws provided. Next, you'll make an important measurement. At the bottom ledge, measure the distance from the second stop on the inside of the strike wall jamb to the inside of the pivot wall jamb. In the installation guide, this is referred to as distance A. Measure the same distance on the bottom track and cut the track using a hacksaw. Smooth the cut edge with a file. Next, install the U-channel at the center of the bottom track. When it is centered, apply a piece of tape to hold it in place. Turn the bottom track over and apply a bead of silicone sealant to the underside of the track. An illustration in the installation guide shows you exactly where to apply the sealant. Now position the track sealant side down, with the lip of the bottom track towards the outside of the shower against the second stop of the strike wall jamb and the opposite end against the pivot wall jamb. Rotate the track down firmly. Remove the tape holding the U-channel in place and slide it toward the pivot wall jamb until it contacts the stop. Do not slide it all the way into the jamb. Apply silicone sealant where the pivot wall jamb meets the bottom track. Repeat where the strike wall jamb meets the track. Locate the drilling template and position it against the U-channel as shown in the installation guide. Hold the template in place and drill a 5/16" hole into the bottom track. Identify the header and determine from its profile which side is the front. The diagram in the installation guide will help with this. Then, determine which end is the pivot end and label it. Now it's time for another critical measurement. Measure the distance between the walls at the top of the wall jambs. In the installation guide, this is referred to as distance B. Measure the same distance on the header, starting from the pivot end, and make a mark toward the strike end. Cut the header at your mark and file smooth. Insert the pivot block into the header at the pivot end, as shown in the installation guide. Next, position the header over the wall jambs and secure it from the inside of the shower at the pivot end with the screw provided. Now, install the strike jamb into the strike side wall jamb. Do this by sliding the strike jamb into the wall jamb and aligning the top holes in the strike jamb with the slots in the wall jamb. Be sure the strike jamb is level, then loosely secure the screws. The next step is to install the fixed panel. First, apply silicone sealant to the header where the fixed panel will be inserted, the entire length of the groove in the pivot jamb, and the entire length of the U-channel. Next, locate the fixed panel and insert it into the header and the U-channel. If the fixed panel is textured, be sure the texture is on the outside of the shower. Continue to slide the fixed panel until it contacts the back wall of the pivot jamb. Place a small amount of sealant at the base of the panel in the U-channel, then insert the bumper plug. That completes the fixed panel installation. Prepare to install the door panel by inserting the bushing provided into the hole you drilled earlier in the bottom track. Now make another critical measurement. Measure the distance from the base of the strike jamb to the edge of the bushing. In the installation guide, this is referred to as distance C. Measure this same distance on the shower door, starting at the handles. Make a mark on the door at both the top and the bottom to indicate distance C. Locate the 1 1/2 inch bolt and slide on the bushing, then add the nut. On the 3/4 inch bolt, partially thread on the nut. At the top of the door panel, slide the longer bolt into the door channel, with the bushing above the channel, center it on your mark for distance C, and tighten the nut. On the bottom of the door, slide the 3/4 inch bolt into the channel, align it with the distance C mark, and tighten it. Press the seal into the bottom of the door frame and trim off any excess. Now you're ready to hang the door. Position the bottom bolt into the bushing in the bottom track. Insert the top bolt into the large hole in the pivot block. Close the door and, if necessary, adjust for a consistent gap between the door handle and the strike jamb. Insert the 1 1/8 inch pivot block bolt through the small hole in the pivot block, then insert the nut from below and tighten. Check the operation of the door to see that it opens and closes smoothly. Binding or catching on the bottom track could damage the seal, so make any adjustments necessary for proper operation. Adjustments are made by repositioning the top or bottom pivot bolts, the pivot block, or by changing the strike jamb's position in the strike wall jamb. Check the gap between the header and the door. If the gap is uneven, make an adjustment by raising or lowering the header on the strike end. When you have the header in the right position, secure it to the strike wall jamb by drilling a 1/8 inch hole from the inside of the shower, then using the screw provided. On the outside of the shower, apply silicone sealant along the length where the pivot jamb meets the finished wall and where the strike wall jamb meets the finished wall. On the inside of the shower, apply a bead of sealant where the fixed panel and the pivot jamb edges meet, and at the strike jamb only in the area indicated in the installation guide. Also, apply sealant where the strike wall jamb and the pivot wall jamb meet the finished wall on the inside of the shower. After cleanup, your installation is complete.